I'm going to be building a mini ITX computer. Now, you've obviously clicked on that thumbnail because you knew that I was going to be doing it and you're here and you want to watch it. But anyway, if you like this sort of content, you better subscribe and share, like, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and maybe Twitch. Not too sure. Let's on with the video. So, we've got a mini ITX build and it's going to be in 2 videos. So, one's going to be about thermals overclocking in a mini ITX Silverstone RVZ03 because that's the case we're going to be using. This is brand new, just come out, it's RGB. And then we're going to be using an SSD Q300 by Toshiba. This is a 480GB, so 480GB is going to be enough to do a little bit of video editing, a little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of videos and watching at home like Netflix and chill. And we also got a Be Quiet 500 watt power supply. And both of these are going to be in a link in the description down below or in a card as well, so you can check out the video. Also using an EVGA Superclocked Edition GTX 970 graphics card, which is very capable still today, 2017, to run all this sort of stuff. We're also using a Gigabyte Z270N Wi-Fi motherboard. So yeah, it's a mini ITX motherboard. It can work with 6th generation Skylake processors or Kaby Lake 7th generation processors, which is awesome. We've got Crucial Ballistic Memory. It's a 16GB of DDR4 and it's 2666 megahertz. We also got a Core i3 7350K. The K stands for overclocking. That's why we've got an overclocking motherboard, and it's going to be pretty decent because we're going to try to use the Freezer by Arctic. This is the Freezer 12. This has just come out as well, just been released, and we're going to see if it's going to be great for thermals and actually getting in this case rather than water cooling or AIO water cooling, because you're not going to get like a normal proper water cooling unit in there. And nah. But anyway, so this is going to be the whole build of the mini ITX. Anything that you want to buy here, link will be in the description down below. Amazon or overclockers and wherever else, I don't really know. My system will sort that out. So let's get on with the build.
What follows is a brief construction montage. Two 2,000 years later. hope you enjoyed this brief construction montage.
So the RVZ03 by Silverstone is not a bad mini ITX case. Now we had to do some different stuff. It would not work with a GTX 970 because the graphics card was too big. You have to put a mini ITX graphics card in there without a doubt. So what I did is I went and stole my little daughter's graphics card, which is a GTX 1050 Ti, and that barely fitted into the case. So where the water cooling unit was, which was an Antec H6100 cooler H2O, and I put that in, and I used the Silverstone actual low profile fan, and basically it gives it a bit more airflow because it's a thinner fan, but it seems to be able to keep the radiator cool, so that's really decent. So the Silverstone RV03 is built and it looks pretty good. I've got a cable here and I've just got to plug it in. There's going to be some negatives and there's going to be some positives. Now the negatives I think I'll go first with is that there's no switch. The switch is actually inside the case. If I want to switch it off completely from the power supply, I have to take this whole side panel off. But I think I'll get to that when I'm actually taking the whole case apart to show you again. So this is a negative. I can only plug this in and you hear that crackle of power that's getting into the actual case itself. Negatives. It was really freaking hard to build in. There's no doubt about it. I had to change, well, if I'd done my homework a little bit better, the Freezer 12 would not fit in this case because it's too big. So you need a low profile ITX CPU air cooler to go in there. And also there is a few negatives and the positives why that is a good thing to use as a CPU air cooler. In this case it's got a AIO 120 and that is by Antec, a H600 Pro cooler H2O. So it's a 120 that's built into this case, this mini ITX case. So if I just take this out quickly. Right, so negatives is that this case does not come with thumb screws or captive thumb screws. It comes with these screws. So you have to take that into account when you're taking this apart. So I just had to undo these screws. Now, I've got this plugged in to a 120mm Silverstone low profile fan on the side there to make sure there's enough airflow being brought in. So nice cool air being brought in over the motherboard, RAM, and the little MOSFETs. The very little phases that are in there, they're very small because this motherboard's a mini ITX. The water cooling is very cramped in there. Everything's just really cramped into this case itself. So as you can see, I've got the case open after not using thumb captive screws or even just thumb screws on the back. But I've got the low profile fan by Silverstone on its case there to actually bring in nice cool air into the actual case. But as you can see, it's a complete mess in there. It's so compact. You can put 2 SSDs in the top here. I've got 1 SSD there, and you can put an SSD in the side there if you're using an actual CPU air cooler, because what happens is it takes up space because I've got AIO and then I've got the tubing running through with the fans underneath. So as you can see, that this 120mm fan was barely any room to get in there, but as you can see, the RAM, CPU, phases, chokes, whatever underneath here would actually be able to get an intake of cool air into the case, so that would be quite awesome. But as you can see, I've got more cables there because I needed a SATA connector to connect it to the actual SSD. Now, if you want to get to the graphics card and the power supply and everything like that, this is what you're going to have to go through. So you have to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 screws you have to take off there. And then you can have to turn your SSD round the other way, and then you can screw the SSDs down and make them nice and tight. But I haven't bothered doing that because it's just too much of a mission. So for me to get this out, I have to get the SSD out now. Now if this was screwed down, I'll have to unscrew the SSDs and then pull them out. But what I do is just flick it around here. It's just a bit messy at the moment. And then I've got the graphics card is stuck to the actual base here, so I've got to undo it from the PCI slot here and then pull the graphics card up. This graphics card is a 1050 Ti and it's on a riser card, but this is even more funny. You actually have to screw down the bracket onto the side, which makes it really awkward when you're going to put the graphics card in and get the cables out of the way and stuff. But it comes in 2 bits. You've got one that sticks out for the actual motherboard and another bit that connects into the graphics card, which I'm going to just show you real quick without trying to break something here. Right, so that bit is a PCI riser card, which comes with the Silverstone case, and then you've got this extra bit here, which is an added extension onto the PCI Express card and the riser card. So I'll connect this all back together, because this is what you're going to have to do if you want to get your graphics card to work. Then plug this all in. And then that's ready to go in there with your SSDs screwed on top. Right, so I've taken one screw from out there because I thought, where do I need to take so many screws out? Now we're out to the base here, so this is where the graphics card's going to be breathing air through, which is a positive because it gives it about this much space to actually dissipate all hot heat if you're gaming or doing a bit of video and editing or watching something that's intensive for your little graphics card. But I don't think much is going to be very intensive for a 1050 Ti. But it keeps it nice and cool in the case. It has got air vents everywhere, and I do like what they've done with this box, but I can't understand. I really don't understand. You've got RGB in the front here, you haven't got a see-through panel, and there's no other way of, like, you could put RGBs in this case, but I don't understand why they put such a big box into it, where you've only got RGB on the front that you can see. That doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I'll put it in there, because everyone out there in the world wants to know what's going on, and it's a review at the end of the day, and I've got to express what my concerns are and what are positives and negatives. So I've got Silverstone's 120 fan on top of the AIO, which is Antec, an Antec H600 Pro cooler, and it makes it more of a low profile, because if it's any higher, this graphics card was actually touching the actual water cooling unit, so it was lopsided a little bit at an angle rather than being completely flush and just like any amateur pick it up and then put it in and it works. It was not like that at all. It was really, really awkward. Now, this is why I'm saying if you've got a low profile CPU air cooler on the top, that's going to be fine. And the reason it's going to be fine is because you've got it on your CPU air cooler, keeping it cool, and you can use Silverstone's 120 low profile fans in the case, and then the graphics card's going to fit. But any graphics card that you want is going to be any bigger than that, it's not going to work. It's not even going to fit. The riser card could have been slightly higher, or the chassis could have been slightly wider as well, which would have been optional to make the riser card higher, and then the graphics card had more space and it weren't so dense against the actual fan itself. Now, I found it incredibly difficult to get it in there, and I had a 120 low profile fan in there. Now, the water cooling tubing is awkward as anything, and it has to bend to be able to get the side case on. All the cables I've tucked down to the side there. Now, if I want to get to the power supply, I'd have to unscrew the AIO to get to it. You also got screws that you screw down in this bracket to the actual power supply itself. So I have to connect the power supply with the bracket, screw 2 screws onto that, then screw the other screws onto the bracket, then screw the bracket to the actual case so you can use it in transport. But if you want to, say that a cable came out of the I/O for it to turn it on and reset, you would have to take the whole power supply out just to get in there. If anything goes wrong, you're still going to have to take the whole power supply and the AIO out just so you can get to the actual cables. Anything goes wrong with the memory's not too bad. You can easily get to it by just removing this bit of this part of the graphics card and SSD bit, just so you can get to the memory. And the audio you can get to really easily, which is not too bad. Resetting the battery for the BIOS is not too bad as well. You can get to it, and the AIO is not too hard to get to as well, and the fans. But everything else, very impossible. Now the case. Let's talk about the positives. Now I've already plugged it in. It works straight away. No cables would touch. That's another negative. The cables, if you don't tuck them in properly, it's going to touch the fan blades, or if you're using non-fan versions, obviously the case is going to get quite warm, but then you can blow cool air around it and it can exhaust it, so it's not too bad for that, especially if you're going to use it as a HTPC. But yeah, let's talk about the positives. Positives: use a low profile CPU air cooler. It will work, saves you less hassle of trying to put things together, less cable management. Graphics card: make sure you get a mini ITX graphics card. It will fit in there perfectly. Oh, there's one more negative as well. The cable as well. If you want to switch this on, you have to take this all out, like I just said. So you got to take the AIO out. Then you can unscrew the 2 screws from the front of the case. Then you can pull this up. And once you put it up, then you can switch it on, and then you've got to screw everything back down again, which is going to be quite a mission. And also like these bits as well, which is flexible tubing on the AIO. It's going to be a bit of a problem. But anyway, positives again. So positives: use a CPU air cooler, save you the hassle. Use low profile fans, no problem. Silverstone gave us the dual cable for the header for the fans, which is a blessing, because I was about to use the Casa 5-headed. Where is it? I don't even got it here. It's a 5-headed thing, and you can put 5 fans on. It was really, there was too many cables there. What else is there that's positive? Positive is it works. It keeps it cool. The RGB looks really nice. If you really want it into a small space, it's going to work. Silverstone do really small power supplies. I've got a big, quite small SFX power supply, really freaking small, modular, and modular works really well. And I'm glad I got a smaller 24-pin cable, because I think if it was any thicker, it would have been a problem. It's got perfect airflow in this small case. It really has got perfect airflow. After turning it on, I saw it went up to like 51 degrees in the case idling. That wasn't too bad considering how compact it is. You got a graphics card, you got AIO, and it's going to be heat like in such a confined space, and it's going to be producing heat. Cables I just put down the side there, and that's about it. It is what it is. It's a decent case, mini ITX case. If you're in the market for something like this, then I highly suggest you check everything first. Get a mini ITX case. Get a mini ITX graphics card. Make sure if you're going to change your fans, get low profile, but Silverstone includes 2, so that's pretty good. If you're going to go with the AIO, make sure that it's a low profile AIO. I can't even believe I've even got that even in the case. But other than that, hope you liked the video. Hopefully it was explanatory enough. I don't think anyone online, or even in Google, if you search for it in pictures, you're not going to really find anyone that's done what I've done already. So if you want to go buy this and you need some help with it, just drop it down in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to do so. And also the instructions are not very good. They're all right, but even like Silverstone don't even show that they've got an AIO in it. They just show that you can put everything on there. Don't even show you've got a CPU air cooler on it. Or like the instructions are pretty hard to like understand about certain things. Like the riser card, it shows you how to do stuff like that. The power supply. Yeah, look. So you got like the fan there. You got just crazy amount of cables everywhere, and it's showing that if you're going to use a CPU air cooler, you can use a CPU air cooler on it. But it doesn't even illustrate that. It doesn't illustrate that AIO could go in there, or even like how everything is in there with the SSD. It doesn't really illustrate that enough. So Silverstone needs to sort out their instruction guide on this, like building a case. But anyway, I ain't going to keep going through it. At the end of the day, if you like this video and you need help, just comment down below. Subscribe, share, like, follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and all social media platforms. And anyway, I'm out because I'm going to go and test this out now. But link in the description down below for all the products as well. And I'm using a SFX-L power supply by Be Quiet, and it's a 500 watt one. And yeah. Oh, before you go again. Chamber. This is a chamber to put your SSD on, and you can't put it all on there. You get loads of brackets and stuff like that, and filters as well, but I couldn't get it in there. And you get feet as well to keep it from scratching on the desk and that. But anyway, that's it. I'm out. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.